Festive season travel chaos narrowly averted as Cape Town International's main runway is patched up again. South Africans in a spending frenzy as the clock ticks down to Christmas. And South Africa's Cinderella Club does it again. Silver Stars end the year top of the PSL log.
Silver Stars get me.
This is E-News Prime Time. A very good evening. Commuter chaos has been averted at one of South Africa's major tourist entry points. A hole opened up in the main runway at Cape Town International Airport this morning. A flight from London had to be turned away just minutes before it was due to land. Airports company AXA managed to patch things up, but the incident is raising concerns. It's the second such incident in a little over 12 months.
This is what AXA officials refer to as a surface defect. Work crews are seen here tarring over a 10 by 4 metre hole on runway 1. Back on the ground at international arrivals, and loved ones waiting for passengers are upset.
No one knows what's going on.
The airport told us nothing, and the more you ask them, they said, well, they don't know what's going on, and you worry, I've got a daughter on there.
This incident couldn't have come at a worse time, with tourists flocking to Cape Town just days before the Christmas weekend. It's also bad for PR. Imagine you're a foreign tourist, you're flying into Cape Town, and the first thing you see is a big hole in the runway. The only flight affected was Virgin Atlantic from London, diverted at the last minute to Bloemfontein. It finally landed in Cape Town 2 hours later.
Exhausted. We're just very glad to have arrived.
AXA says while it takes runway maintenance very seriously, it can't guarantee this won't happen again.
It's unpredictable. You cannot say for sure that it will happen tomorrow.
The last time this happened was November 2005. That surface defect shut the runway down for 5 hours. AXA says it's now busy resurfacing the entire runway. Annika Larson, E-News, Cape Town.
And it's not just Cape Town International that's having trouble. One of the world's busiest airports, London Heathrow, has been brought to a virtual standstill by heavy fog. British Airways has cancelled all domestic flights and most other short-haul flights. Thousands of passengers have been left stranded. International flights are still on schedule, though. The fog is expected to worsen over the weekend. It's not just runways in the spotlight tonight. Metro Rail's been ordered to improve safety on open railway crossings nationwide. This follows a horrific accident on its tracks in the Western Cape last month, in which 20 people lost their lives.
One of the bloodiest rail accidents of recent years. A train ploughed into a truck that was packed with farm workers at an open level crossing near Stellenbosch. The rail safety regulator has now finished its investigation. It's pinning most of the blame on the truck driver, who was among the casualties. But Metro Rail's also in the firing line. The watchdog says it's worried that trains were allowed to travel at 90 kilometers an hour through what's known to be a high-risk crossing, and has ordered the speed to be cut to 40 kilometers an hour. Metro Rail must also come up with ways to improve safety at all its open crossings across the country. The watchdog's full report has not yet been made public, as police are still investigating the accident. Metro Rail could not be reached for comment. Lukhani Khalata, E-News, Cape Town.
Northern Cape health authorities have confirmed their first Congo fever case of the year. A 26-year-old man is being treated for the disease in a Kimberley hospital. He was admitted with a high fever and nausea after being bitten by a tick. Hospital staff say the man is in a serious but stable condition. 10 other people who came into contact with him are also being monitored. The National Intelligence Agency is kicking its former boss, Billy Masetla, out of his state-owned house. The NIA has sent a letter to Masetla's lawyer asking his client to vacate the Pretoria property by no later than the 15th of January. President Thabo Mbeki fired Masetla in March this year.
Masetla is officially unemployed, and the former Director General faces charges of withholding information to an investigation into the origin of emails. The emails implicated several leaders in an alleged plot to quash Jacob Zuma's chances of becoming president. The NIA probe later found that they were hoax. As Director General of the National Intelligence Agency, living in a state-owned house was one of his perks. After being sacked, he took the president to court, wanting his job back, but he lost the case. The National Intelligence Agency now wants to see the back of Masetla once and for all. By mid-January, they have told him to find his own place to stay. Macintosh and Zamante, E-News, Pretoria.
Another interest rate hike in the new year is looking increasingly unlikely. This thanks mainly to producer price inflation. PPI has remained unchanged at 10% in November. Most economists had been expecting an increase. But holding the key to the future movement of interest rates are credit card carrying South Africans. They are more than 37 billion rand in debt, and more credit is being offered to them every day.
The height of the festive season, and it's easy to guess where most South Africans are. At the shops, spending on those credit cards. But this year, the frenzy has been fueled by the sheer number of credit cards on offer. It seems everyone from retail stores to airlines have jumped on the credit bandwagon. Research and strategy company Razor's Edge says a year ago there were 59 credit cards on offer to South Africans. Today, there are 99. In the year until September, outstanding credit card balances grew 45% to 37.5 billion rand. Financial institutions are offering as much credit as they can ahead of the introduction of the National Credit Act. The Act will make easy credit a thing of the past by forcing banks to conduct thorough credit checks before dishing out money willy-nilly. But some say too much blame is being placed on the banks.
It's a great payment mechanism. It's by far the best if you can be disciplined. If you can't be disciplined, you're going to get yourself into a debt hole.
But for some South Africans, cash is still king.
You buy cash and you buy what you can afford.
The reality is that the banks are here to make money. And while government can implement legislation to try and curb the spending, it is really up to the consumer to take responsibility for their own debt. Kale Naya, E-News, Johannesburg.
And with that, let's take a quick look at the markets.